All right, I think we are all ready. Yes, let's set this up. Howdy, everybody. Let us go. It's time for Arena's husband to do Arena's husband things. I can't tell if that's her wearing gloves or not. I want to say yes, but it looks so weird. Am I crazy? Is that the undead settlement I see? That it is, I am. I think it is because I think the menu graphic for her ashes has something similar on her. Yeah, something like this I think would be fair. There we go. It's obviously gloves. See, it's really hard because you see some textures and stuff and you're like, did they just like do really low poly weird textures or not? That's what I'm saying. I'm not 100% sure when I just look at it like that. To religiously blind people. God, she looks horrifying. The shadows do not do her justice here. Man, this is... Oh, there we go. See if we can hit that magic number. Now let's try to find it again. There we go. There we are. She's my least liked NPC in the whole series. Listen, I have very mild opinions about every NPC, at least friendly NPC in this game. So I really can't say I feel strongly about any of them, but like, really? I can't really say I dislike her in particular either, no? All right, let's get out of here. All right, madam.
Oh, yes, there you are. So close indeed. Then I am not entirely alone just yet. Praise the merciful gods above.
Oh no! All right, let's do what I want to do here. I like Shabriri and the Shadow that you're a tree NPCs. Shabriri's just a meme. He's just the one line. I could not give a shit about Shabriri beyond that one hilarious line. And the Shadow of the Erdtree NPCs, I got one good laugh out of what's her name, Leda. Again, I think the game, I think all these games have serviceable characters for their stories. But I'm not going to pretend like, oh my god, I really love, like, more power to the people who love making fan art and stuff like that, but like, I don't give a shit. Right?
Oh, forgive me. I am Irina.
Oh!
Great gods.
I didn't know!
Forgive me.
I was just trying to get the free cab. Also, why the hell does she have the tower key? Oh, I get it, because that's where she go. Oh, right, because that's where she go. Okay. No, I just like that he makes a convincing argument, then he just goes on. I don't think he ever makes a convincing argument. Again, he's just another one of those nihilist types, you know? White woman of all time? Well, yeah. Well, Irina's husband, I guess that counts as being divorced. Did I recruit him? Did I recruit her and the other character? Why are you all dead? Well, not my problem. Oh, awkward. He's so close to being convincingly empathetic. If you say so, Xavier. No, she's not here yet. No, he says you should kill your maiden and save her. Why would I want to do that? But makes no difference to me whether or not Melina dies. Didn't matter if she was in the party or not to begin with, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so we have you here, but... All right, let's recruit her this time and not kill her. Not, I repeat, not murder her. I love how his model does the same thing where... I just realized these are the same roots that Sullivan has. And Aldrich. Actually, no, this isn't what Sullivan has, but this is what Aldrich has. Yeah, he has these exact same, like, root things. Uh-huh. Yeah, I like this. I think this looks good. Only convincing NPC I know is Vamos. You know, you're right. Vamos is the only real NPC in the entire franchise. He's just like, get the frick off of my business. Doing my own thing. Go away. He was so real for that. For real, for real. Oh, poor Yol. Yeah, I think the shot we already had was for the best. I like how they do like the Mephistopheles like gimmick with Yuria and stuff like that. But she's like, she's nowhere near as like ominous, which I guess makes sense because she's not like, you know, blatantly evil like Mephistopheles was, but like I just find it very funny thinking about how they give her the pose and everything, and she's like, I want you to kill one person, like literally only one. Like just murder this one guy in the shrine who's probably gonna try to usurp you. It'd be a good idea, I swear. All right. So I learned that Yuria is affected by Hollow Slayer Greatsword like Henri and co. So that's cool. Skirt of pure darkness. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. The actual skirt's really tiny by comparison. I mean, we see the Deacons of the Deep do the same thing, right? The ones that are like all Aldrichified. So this isn't that uncommon. But like this is the first time I've noticed where it's like, oh yeah, it's literally the exact same thing. Also, it's got all this yucky like dirt and crap in it. Like, I'm just saying that can't be sanitary. These guys need a bath. You also gotta wonder where that shit's exactly growing from, if it's going down from their waist, you know? I assume the entire world is affected by what we do in the Lands Between. I don't think anything that happens in the Lands Between is isolated purely to the Lands Between. Especially if with Night Rain like giving us like an entire those who live in death assassin thing. So at the very least, it's definitely possible for those who live in death to leave the Lands Between, right? There's nothing else with Yuria and co here, so. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Or for people to create them intentionally, as it seems with the Fellowship. Yeah, I can see that. What a blade! You're right, Father. Now go pay child support. Say what you will about Night Rain Story. I'm fond of all the new title factions introduced to add depth to the world. Yeah, I do appreciate Night Rain expanding the world of man a bit more, because it's something I've complained about. I feel like base game Elden Ring leaves the world of man severely underdeveloped compared to its other games. Like even Demon Souls, I feel, gives the world of man and that more attention. We have a better idea of what the world and political state and just general like outlook is there. Whereas in Elden Ring, they kind of neglect it. In cases where they give us like anything, it's so hyper specific that it may as well be like worthless to getting a broader sense of the world building. Yeah, I do wonder with the whole timey-wimey shenanigans, like, assuming that, like, you do an ending that kills those who live in death, like those in death stop existing. Does that mean like something like the Fellowship, which seems to exist in the come from the future? Does that like change time and stuff like that? Again, how does that work in Elden Ring's cosmology? I have no idea. Yeah, it's another reason why I encourage Dark Souls. God forbid there's ever a Dark Souls 4, but if we ever get it, like, just try to stay away from all the timey-wimey stuff as much as possible. Like, the less you focus on that, the better. Oh, all the thrones look embered except for Aldrich's. God, I recognize that design from somewhere. I don't remember where we see it, though. Oh, that's going to bug me. All right, it's time to recruit. It's time to recruit Irina. And this time, I won't kill her. I promise. Oh, no, wait. Why are we back here? I forgot I didn't change it to Cliff Underside. There we go. Somebody says the Fellowship only exists to counter in the night. It won't exist, period. Yeah, that brings some interesting questions about time and space, doesn't it? Oh. I already opened the thing here. That's cool. All right.
Who is there? Is someone there? Anyone? Oh, please. Whoever you are, touch me. The dark surrounds me, nibbles at my flesh. Little creatures, they never stop biting. So please, hold out your hand and touch me. Ah, yes, there you are. So close. Indeed. Then I am not entirely alone just yet. Praise the merciful gods above.
Look, you think the rubble in front of the spouting fire lizard spot in DS2 Giant Forest was made to prevent lizards from getting out? Maybe. I don't know. I still think it's probably just supposed to be build up from the river and stuff and clogs and things. Because don't we see something similar in the memories and things? Or something like, you know, beginning to build up there? Yeah, you can definitely see a comparison between those who live in death there and how slave knights are handled. Though again, slave knights aren't really the assassinating type, you know? That's a major difference.
Oh, forgive me. I am Irina of Carim. I came to this land so that I might be a firekeeper.
Uh-huh.
Your touch has freed me from the darkness. You are a champion, then. I am weak and unfit to tend the flames. But if it would not trouble you, might I enter into your service instead?
I assume if you decline, you lose out on the entire quest line, but... So we're not going to do that.
Oh, thank shall take my vows. I, Irina of Karim, solemnly swear to serve you.
Of Karim. Yeah, kinda. Big kinda.
You've gone and rescued her, have you? How very quaint. Pitying creatures that are beyond help. Yeah. Very well. I'm sick of looking after her at any rate. I am Egon, a knight of Karim. I am allied to you for as long as you assure the girl's safety. And only for that long.
There we go.
What's the matter? My terms are very simple. I am allied to you for as long as you assure the girl's safety. And only for that long.
It's possible, no, Bray. I'd have to go back and re-examine it. You have to make an argument because there's so much chaos happening everywhere that sure, why not? If the lizards are spreading and they're expanding their territory and stuff, especially with the river dried up, it's definitely something to consider. I just can't think of anything definitive without looking at it in front of me. Ooh. That's exactly what I was trying to prevent. You are... You are such a pain in my ass. There we go. Hello. Move my character over here. So his head will move there. There you go. I started to picture what we'd even see from a Dark Souls 4 between the Death of the Soul of Cinder, the Ash Eternity, maybe a glimpse of how Drangleik's handling the strange lack of sun. I mean, there's so many ways you could theoretically do it, but I agree. I feel like Dark Souls 3 pretty much put the series to rest as it should be, right? It would only be done because they want to make money, and because Elden Ring made them so much more money, I don't think they're interested in trying to milk Dark Souls for what it's worth. Which is a shame, because I would love Dark Souls to get milked. Just give us spin-off games that are smaller in scope, like Bloodborne. That's all I really ask. Like, I don't see why... Again, this is a Miyazaki problem in that he feels like his games have to be around these big central thematic questions. And it's like, no. You created these awesome and interesting worlds. Just keep expanding on them. You could come up with two, like, smaller ideas for smaller scale things, like in Bloodborne. Just keep doing that with your games. Like, Miyazaki, I know you care about it a lot, but most people don't understand your games. They have no idea what the hell is going on. And they come up with bullshit in order to do so. Like, it's completely okay for you to not have some big thematic message or point in them. It's okay. They're not going to understand it anyway. So yeah, I really like it if they would just make something a little bit more, self-contained in the sense that it doesn't feel like you necessarily need to know about, like, the larger mythos of the past 3 games in order to follow what's the next saga in Link the Fire or Don't Link the Fire. Oh, you cover in Londor when does Soul of Cinder fight take place? No, because I don't think it's a relevant question that I can sufficiently answer. I would rather leave that up for you guys to debate. We need a wacky Night Rain sequel that's in Dark Souls instead. Oh god, yeah. It's like, hey, let's bring in all the rest of the Dark Souls bosses and then call it Night Rain 2. It'll be in what would we call it? Instead of Limveld, it'd be Lothveld. Yeah, it'll be in Lothveld, you know? It'll be us running around. It'll be like Road of Sacrifices, Faron, Undead Settlement, all mixed together, and you'll have like Lothric just looming in the background, and the final boss will always take place in like a weird ashen Lothric. God, even me saying this shit, I feel like I'm going crazy. Like, oh god, it's so bad. It's so bad. Oh, but yeah, Londor's not going to cover, it's not really going to cover Soul of Cinder. Yeah, again, I feel like the strength of like Bloodborne, I don't think its world is sufficiently structured in order to support just a random spin-off, but Dark Souls is expansive enough, and to a lesser extent, you could say the same with Demon Souls. Demon Souls is just underdeveloped, so it needs a little bit more, you know, like if Demon Souls was made today, there'd be a lot more fleshing out in detail to the world and its characters and its NPCs and things, right? And here's the thing, I still think Demon Souls has the bones, it has the charm and everything, and for its smaller scope, it does everything it needs to tell its story. But you could definitely do more, you know, make the north, east, south, and west a little bit more distinct as like places and countries, kind of like what Dark Souls 2 does, obviously. We got Volgin to the west, and you can infer where Lindelt is in the south, and you can get a sense of, you know, what the north is like with the giants, and then you have all the stuff with the east and all the various countries there. Like, they could do so much more. Dark Souls, Night Rain, yeah. I want Dark Archthrones to be completed. That's the modding project, right? That you're referring to, Ed. Here's my position on mods, since I typically don't like play them myself. I think it's great that the fans and stuff do all these fan projects. They come up with new creative ideas for the gameplay experience. But for me, who cares a lot more about like story and narrative, I would really love for actual mainline entries that, again, they can get like more creative with game mechanics and stuff like that, as long as it's like, you know, it plays well and it's fun and stuff like that. That's all I really care about. But I would just love like just more. I want more lore on the story and characters, right? Like, obviously, clearly that's where my priorities lie based on what I do. So for me, I would love for us to get spin-offs that just tell like smaller stories, like set a story in Astora or Karim or Volgin, or, you know, something. And it can be, the story doesn't have to be able to do with anything. Like there's a civil war, you know, like do something like kind of Sekiro style, like just something to expand it all. Maybe you can have something where there's like, I don't know, like Velka priest infiltrators who are trying to like subvert the government there for whatever reason. Maybe like Vinheim is getting involved with its assassins and things like that, because, you know, the country neighbors them and they want to make sure they have a better trading partner in order to secure I don't know, like you know, an access to new student bodies through them because they're being blockaded by the Way of White, or, you know, like there's so many different things you can do that could just make it where this world feels like, yeah, these are countries and stuff we're familiar with, but we get a better sense of their geopolitical situations, how they're doing, their lives, their histories, you know, all that. I find Archthrone's lore to be kind of weird. I mean, again, it's a fan mod, right? Like, I know for sure that the modder guy, he was looking, he's definitely referenced my work, or at least he's done it, but they have like a bunch of different writers in here, and not everyone's necessarily going to want to do agree with either my takes or the direction that they want to go that for the story. because even if they think I'm right, maybe it'd be better if they feel like if they do it this way because, you know, they like their ideas better. Like, that's just how it is, right? It's a modding project. It's fun. It's fan. Like, they don't need to adhere to the canon, right? Which is actually one of the ironic parts I had with the manager of the project, because he'd be like, oh, what about this? And I'm like, yeah, you can make it work. Like, I have no problem with, like, you know, doing this versus that or that during that. Like, it can work within the setting. I can come up with a few explanations for you there, right there on the spot. Like, there's a lot of flexibility there, right? Obviously, it'd be very different if I was probably in charge of a modding project. You told me, hey, we want something to be, like, as close adhering to, like, we want this to be believably something that could, like, slot into the existing games. I would definitely take a different direction with all that stuff, especially with the Dark Souls 2 things. Yeah, it's a Dark Souls 3 alternate universe type thing. Political intrigue is always a fun hook. I mean, it's the best parts about these games. I forget what it was, but there's a while back. I think it was like an interview I did with like Acer or Sinclair or somebody. I think somebody I said had a problem because I was like, you know, Dark Souls doesn't have all these politics. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Right? Like, Dark Souls is filled with politics, right? Like, Demon Souls, Blood, like, all these games have politics involved. Like, it has countries. They interact. They do things. Like, there's no way you can get away from just saying that these stories have politics in them, right? Now, you can argue how in-depth and well-developed those politics are. Sure, there's always a discussion to be had there. She's just, like, moving constantly. It's annoying the hell out of me. But yeah, like, I don't understand how you can't be interested in the politics, especially in Lothric, where they're the most developed. Like, I don't think we've ever had something where so much, you know, there was so much, you know, kind of political interactions going on between countries like we get with Irithyll and Lothric under Osseros and Sullivan. Not to mention the stuff with the cathedral and Faron. There's a lot of political situations there because Faron's now existing at the foot of Lothric. Like these are things that, like, whether, like, even a half decent writer would be like, okay, we kind of have to address this because these are, like, obvious questions about the setting, right? Like, we have to have some justification. Like, there has to be something. Like, Lothric's not going to just let a giant undead military fortress be built right there on their doorstep. Without, like, at least being like, hey, is this kosher? I mean, I'm sure the person who was asking was left wing or something, Nick, or the other way. Like, it really doesn't matter. Like, ultimately, the point was kind of like, it's a silly thing to say because I think the person came from a position where they want to just be this, like, this fantasy game with, like, dark, you know, brooding, like, lore or whatever, and they didn't want it to be, like, you know, like a Game of Thrones type thing. I'm not saying it is Game of Thrones, by the way, but, like, you can't, like, talk about the narrative and stuff and have, like, various countries and, you know, various interaction stuff and then be like, that's not political, right? I don't think the person meant it in any way, like, you know, like, oh my god, they're putting politics in our games. I think it was just a matter of, you know, this isn't that kind of game, right? I think that was where the person was coming from. And I'm just like, yeah, no. Anyway, as for the Archthrones mod, I mean, I'm still excited and stuff for it, for the people who get to enjoy it and stuff, and my limited involvement in it. I think it's still pretty cool, personally. All right, just in case we ever want to use Andre shots. All right, so we got you there. We already have a shot of this guy. Pretty sure we have a shot of him without any issues, too. Oh, it's totally jokey. All Goose media is inherently political. I don't know if I'd say all media is inherently political. I think that's a terrible misrepresentation, usually weaponized by activist types. Who basically want to put in their politics into things, so they say that personally. But my position would probably be something along the lines of the statements being made in Dark Souls, I wouldn't say ever have any relevance to any modern geopolitics or anything like that beyond like abstract things. But at that point, it's not really about politics, it's about like very broad, you know, morality or messaging. But the like in terms of like, you know, the fact that various nations interact together, that is by definition, you know, politics or geopolitics. When you're talking about the structure of a country, like say Lothric, right? Like that is inherently politics. You have the high priestesses and the knights and the scholars, and you know, like that's another thing that's like, you know, it's inherently, you know, politics, right? Again, I think it's different things than I think what you're you know, joking about, Nick. What about Ludlith? Did you get shots at him? Yeah, I have an article on Ludlith. I don't think there. I mean, what else can I really add about this guy? Like I've already gotten, I haven't looked at his article really in depth in a while, so maybe I'm missing something, but like, I don't think there's really anything I gotta include. I will say his pose is the most bizarre. Like, don't you agree? Like, just imagine, you take your arms right here, and you just do this. Like this. Like, I'm trying to, like, I'm mimicking it right now. I don't know how the hell you can feel comfortable doing that. Like, that's something you do when you have a table or something. Like the way he does it, it just looks bizarre. What in the world does the Lord of Hollows ending mean? Like, what would that make the world like? I mean, I'm going to talk about this a bit in my Londor thesis, but to give, like, the brief overview. Koth has always advocated for the Age of Dark. Well, there's a problem, because Dark Souls 3 happened. And, they started, what's the word? Not decompartmentalizing. Not desegregating. I can't think of the exact terminology, but essentially, you know, they've kind of divided up the First Flame across the various Lords of Cinder, right? He just pretending he has a chair his size. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the inspiration. But anyway, so basically, because of that, when we do the Age of Dark ending with the Firekeeper, she points out how when the flame is going away, she can already see these other little tiny flames, the embers of the First Flame, that each of the Lords of Cinder, who have yet to be awakened, who lie dormant, still possess. So I'm not sure if you've noticed, you got Ludlith, who's around from the time of the first Firekeeper, and then you got Aldrich, Abyss Watchers, Yorm, and Prince Lothric, all of whom date to the last 100 years. I don't think you set up an emergency system starting all the way back then with your first Firekeeper, and then you don't have any other Lords of Cinder or anybody you think ready for this emergency system until literally the past 100 years, when you're implicitly been around for like at least a few hundred, probably thousands. Like, Lothric's been doing this for a while, clearly. Clearly. So the understanding is that you have lots more Lords of Cinder out there who, with the First Flame dead, their embers are no longer going to be connected, right? Because like when we kill the different you know, embers, they were keeping the flame strong enough and tethered long enough so we didn't have, you know, things getting to the state of the eclipse and stuff like that, right? And things getting to snowball again. So, you know, they were kind of like tethers, but now that the flame itself is gone, they are, you know, conversely untethered, and now they kind of get to just exist out there on their own. So you have these individual little fires that are now existing in your Age of Dark, and God knows, one of those embers might potentially, with what we kind of see theoretically being accomplished with the Chaos Demons, you know, gather that flame power and then resurrect the First Flame, and well, we're back at square one where they actually undo what we do, right? Because typically in these games, it's been like, okay, Age of Dark is like, you know, final. It's final. It's over. It's okay. Are we going to do the Age of Fire? Or are we going to be doing the Age of Dark and just end this thing, right? And it's always been Age of Fire, Age of Fire. Well, Dark Souls 3 changes up the game. So then the question is, well, what do we do about that then? This kind of complicates things because we can't really get to the end state we want to go right away. Clearly, we have this other problem. And if we don't handle this, you know, carefully, we're going to have still a bigger problem on our hands. It's not really going to solve the underlying issues that we're dealing with the whole stagnation and the, you know, going against the natural order of the world. So, what we're gonna is the Age of Darkness the same as the Age of the Deep Sea by Eldritch? No. The Age of the Deep Sea is kind of like what we're starting to see with the Dreadkeep, but just imagine that if things went on, it would have accelerated, right? Like we kind of sort of narrowly avoid that by just the virtue of how the game plays out. But the game is basically alluding. The point of Aldrich's character is to highlight that Aldia's thinking is stupid, because all it does is enables worst actors like Aldrich to be able to take advantage and benefit. Ultimately, the Aldi's decision of, oh, we have to find a third way. How about we don't link the fire, but don't start the Age of Dark either? All it does is allow Aldrich to get all the benefits, because now we're just slow walking our way to the Age of Dark, which means it's going to turn into an Age of the Deep Sea instead. Because all that dark is going to keep stagnating until it becomes the deep. Anyway, to get back on topic, the point is that ultimately Koth and by extension Londor have decided that the solution to this is to, instead of having a traditional Dark Lord, to have a Lord of Hollows, where the fire will not be snuffed out right away. Instead, it will be first subverted. You are going to take the flame, and instead of it being where the flame consumes you, you are going to use the dark to overtake the flame instead and bring it essentially under your control. It'll be disconnected from the bonfire system, but it will still be alive, and it will still be under your control. And therefore, you get to decide, well, basically, you have greater control over it versus the alternative. As we can see, this results in being able to suppress the powers of the flame, so even the eclipse starts, it doesn't have that red aura anymore. It now weakens to being just a white aura, kind of like what we see with like souls, where you have fiery souls at their strongest, but then at their most basic form, they're more white. They're white, right? So same idea we have here. Also doubles to make it look like humanity, because theming. But the point is that we essentially, okay, we're going to subvert the flame. We're going to now be able to suppress the flame's influence to the absolute minimum, so we get to reduce the damage that the flame's continued existence has upon the stagnation of the natural world to the absolute smallest degree we could possibly get it, while not disconnecting it from the Lords of Cinder, who are out there, and of course would have been able to wake up and lie dormant and be out there about and become a headache for any prospective Dark Lord in the alternative situation as we have under the Firekeeper. So therefore, with that under control now, we are able to now make sure where we have a leash on those Lords of Cinder, and then presumably you could then systematically start trying to hunt them down, take them out, all that stuff, while not letting it be where they can potentially, try to revive and create a new First Flame. You still have the original First Flame with which they are still connected to. Yeah. Yeah, it does not work with Ludleth. Like, what knees? This man has no knees. They're stubs. This man has got no knees. He's not leaning in on anything. He's just floating there. Again, I think it's a cool pose. It's just like, you think about that, you're like, how the hell? Like, it just looks painful to just be sitting like that. Anyway, so that's the Cliff Notes version of what I'll be talking about with the Age of Hollows. And that's why it's so important, and why even Koth, who's always been the Age of Dark guy, that was his last will, his last wish to Yuria before he died. Right, I think that's all the stuff we have there for her. Anything else in my notepad we want to look at? You know what? Let's go look at Giant Rat. I want to look at Giant Rat. Giant Rat is friend. I don't know if I'll even use this image, but may as well. Oh, we gotta, before we have any issues. Statistics. I think that's brilliant, Loki. The way you interpret it sounds like would be the best ending to Dark Souls. I'm pretty sure that's what Miyazaki goes for, right? Like, again, Miyazaki is not subtle. Like, in the first game, he leaves it, you know, ambiguous. Like, again, I've always said, like, it's very obvious that the endings are very uneven, and the way that it's structured is clearly supposed to be, most people are going to do, like, the good ending with the Age of Fire, but then, psych, the ending's actually reversed, and the bad ending is actually the default Age of Fire. We got you. Like Miyazaki is, I've said it before, Miyazaki is not this, like, crazy complicated, like, writer who's, like, you know, playing like 5D chess or something like that, right? Like, he had a very basic story. He told a good and evil story in Demon Souls, a very simple, basic good and evil story. So what is he going to do for his next game? Oh, he's going to reverse the roles, where the obviously looking good story ending is going to actually be the bad ending, and the obviously looking bad ending is going to turn out to actually be the good ending, right? And he makes sure that the bad ending, you know, the quote-unquote true good ending or whatever is going to be harder for you to access or whatever. And even then, he still had the restraint and the subtlety to let you kind of, like, come to the conclusion and realization about that, for one. But Dark Souls 3, Miyazaki is not very subtle. It's him basically saying, okay, I got, you know, you didn't get this the first time, so I'm going to make it, like, I'm going to, like, reiterate a lot of this stuff, but make it 10 times more obvious. You see this with so many things, with how he, you know, the stuff with, like, Oseros and Guinevere trying to re-allude to Seath, and then, like, God, before the DLC when he added Shiro, it's like, goodness me, Miyazaki, like, you really want to get this point across. Like, there's just a lot of things like that where it's very obvious that Miyazaki, and partially probably because he does think of this as, like, the final game in the franchise, he really wanted to get the point across on a lot of things. I think the problem with the stagnation of the natural order and why the Age of Fire ending is definitely not the right answer. I think he makes that very clear, especially with how he handles the Age of Fire ending in, you know, Dark Souls 3 proper. And the question, then, you know, he kind of complicates it by, he's like, okay, well, what about the Age of Dark? Well, no, Age of Fire ending has screwed things so up, we can't even just go for the straightforward Age of Dark. Then he adds the nice selfish ending, which obviously was Demon Souls reference, but I think it's a nice little way to be like, well, what if I do want to do, like, what's, like, the third way? And the third way is to just be completely selfish, not care about any of this stuff. So it's kind of like you know, it's not really the Uldia direction, but, you know, it's the equivalent of, like, the Uldia ending, where it's like, you know, here's the, you know, I'm just going to do whatever is, like, you know, interesting and good for me, fuck the world. And then, of course, you have Lord of Hollows ending as well, which is the one where it's very clearly that's the one that's sort of supposed to fill the same role as the Age of Dark in the original game, where it's like, hey, this is the logical stuff. Don't you see all the problems and all that, right? And what's the counter argument? Andre saying, but what about hope? I mean, can't you just hope? Like, hope? I mean, I think after you see the Ashen Desert, you see, like, yeah, at what point is your hope just absolute naivete, like, stupidity to the highest level, right? I'm not saying it. Do you agree that the surreptitious and cutthroat nature of the Church of Londor would lead to a cruel and unforgiving surveillance state for the New World Order? Is that too much speculation? It's too much speculation because ultimately it's dependent on your player character, right? Like, here's the thing. The Age of Dark, the Age of Hollows, whatever, you know, whatever circumstance you want to imagine for the world is ultimately up to you, because the game, the player is the king. They're the ones who will decide it. Now, maybe you would say, oh, I can't handle this responsibility. I would be awful and would be terrible or whatever. And that's fine. And Miyazaki's answer to that is, okay, well, who would you want in the alternative? Would you prefer Aldrich? Like, that's the implicit countermand being made at every point. It's like, this is the counterbalance. Is that if you're not going to do it, if you're not going to be the one as the hero of this story to make the decision, then who will? That will do anything better? Like, how can you do any worse than some of the other actors that are clearly involved here, right? So ultimately, the question is, will Londor be this paradise on Earth? Will it be this terrible surveillance state? Or will it honestly probably just be something where it'll be, you know, it might be better for man overall, but it's going to have its problems like everything else in life. That's where I probably land on it, right? If I were to, like, put my, like, you know, realistic, like, thinking cap on, trying to speculate. But ultimately, that's what Miyazaki has, is like, it's only going to be as bad if you're bad, right? Well, the point of his writing is that no matter what outcome he goes for, it's supposed to be depressing and sad. I wouldn't say that. I mean, Demon Souls isn't particularly depressing or sad. Like, the worst part about the Demon Souls good ending is that there's always the lingering question of, will this all just happen again because man is fallen by nature? It's like, sure, that's always possible. The Dark Lord ending is particularly sad. I mean, I guess you could say it's sad if you go for the perspective of oh, well, a bunch of characters or things may you know, like, I don't know, like the Quelaag and, you know, the Chaos Sisters and stuff, they might not really have a place in this new, you know, Age of Dark Order with their whole Chaos Flame especially and stuff like that, right? So they might have a rough go of it. But again, that's ultimately for you to decide. There's nothing stopping the Age of the Dark Lord from opening up some diplomatic stuff and at the very least trying to reason with them so they could give it up. And hey, the sisters have a history with the dark and stuff before the fire, so maybe you could get them off this track and just accept that, you know, fire is past and dark is the way forward. Like, again, this is the point where it's like, at some point you have to kind of decide that one of them is an ending where you have no choice. You are sacrificing yourself in order to perpetuate Gwyn's system for the world, which causes stagnation. And I think all the games that Miyazaki's ever done has always shown that he has always been like, whatever you think about the people or places or something who are proposing the alternative, that alternative is always going to be better than stagnation. That stagnation is always the wrong way to go. Yeah, we can never save some characters we love. Well, yeah, that's true. Like, especially in Dark Souls 3, where pretty much every Dark Souls character from the past game that is either gone missing or dead. Like, if you meet them in the flesh, they're pretty much dead. Again, maybe if you could say, like, you know, dark spirits, technically we get to see alive, right? But I don't know if I really consider that in the flesh, you know? But the point is like, yeah, outside of, like, Andre and Patches, like, not a very, cheery outlook for everybody, right? I think that's way of Miyazaki trying to tie up loose ends for his games or whatever, right? Because, you know, like, these characters, they've had their arcs, they had their stories, and, you know, because it's a dark fantasy series, I think just making it like, oh, everything's happy, I think that would just go against, like, you know, the general, like, mood that the games have. Like, the happy, like, any sort of, like, hope and uplifting stuff should be coming from the endings, like when you link the fire, or you choose the Dark Lord ending, or you choose the Lord of Hollows ending, or whatever, right? And I think Dark Souls 3 is a little bit more unique because there's a more somber tone to the fire linking in this game. There's a more obviously selfish tone to obviously choosing to take the fire for yourself. Obviously, the Age of Dark ending kind of has this very kind of like ominous, like, oh, well, this isn't actually the end. We'd see this through the way all the NPC and characters that we interact with end up either sick, hurt, or dead. Yeah, that's exactly my point. Respectfully, fuck Patches. Patches, it would be the guy that after everything, he's still gonna be A-okay. He's the most human of us all. Well, I hear that. I just can't help but see you as a puppet of their will. Again, that's ultimately up for the player to decide. Is the player going to choose to be a puppet? I mean, Koth and the Primordial Serpents who, you know, back him, I mean, they don't, like, again, if they were intending to use you or anything like that, like, it would be at that dark ending, you know, it would be like a Shadow of the Colossus style, just like shoot you with an arrow or something and like, oh, haha, thanks for doing what we wanted. Now, you know, get wrecked, idiot. Now we shall rule or something like that, right? Like, there's no reason to, you know, keep you alive without, you know, not give up the game at that point. Like, that would be the opportunity if they wanted to convey that. Yeah, there's nothing else here that I can think of at this angle. The problem is that stupid fog. They obviously do it so that way you get surprised attacked by the giant rat, but like, man, really nothing I can really do about that. Anything interesting over here that we still want to get? No, there's Bloodbite, Poison, Cathedral of the Deep, Chillbite, obviously from Frida. Agrarian Archives has the Flesh Blight, of course. Curse Bite is in Profane Capital. So yeah, I don't think we need to worry. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed when I was doing the... It's really like a remake, basically, but I think they call it remaster. But the Shadow of the Colossus remake, I had a lot of fun playing that game. It was really just... It was a treat. It's very different from so many other games out there. I mean, you do load, right? Like... Oh, thank God. I was about to be like, it'd be funny if they actually deloaded everything so you could have a clearer shot of Lothric. I'd have been like, what? Yes, this is DS3. Was it made by Blue Point? Yeah, same people who did the Demon Souls remake. I will say, seeing like comparison shots for Shadow of the Colossus, I would have to say I was very impressed with Blue Point's work there. Much less so with Demon Souls. The art style, again, every time we bring it up, I have to say it. I'm probably a lot more positive about the Demon Souls remake than most people are when they talk about it. And my opinion is only mixed. But like, I still feel like the art style is such a huge negative. Like they screwed the pooch there so bad. You can also argue with tone. It has too much of that American Hollywood blockbuster feel. Like, I swear, if I ever wanted to make a parody of my country, I would just be showing what Blue Point did to the Demon Souls remake. Because my God, it is the most generic. Like, every artistic decision they made was the most generic Hollywood American movie schlop stereotype you could come up with. It's actually kind of wild. Like, this literally, this is the creative limits you had when you got in the hands of probably one of the greatest artistic masterpieces of like the gaming generation. Lord of Halsey would presumably stop the Dreadkeep. Yes. It would at least slow it down. I don't know how effective it could be at reversing the damage that's already done. Maybe in an Age of Dark, when we get to the true Age of Dark and things are like Untended Graves, like when we get to that point, maybe then all the damage can be undone. Because at that point, you know, time and space, like that's when things truly get time is convoluted because there is no time. It becomes like the Age of Ancients. So here's the thing to think about it. The world in Dark Souls is bookmarked by 2 grays, as Dark Souls 3 gives us. We have, of course, everything began with Ash, and so it will end with Ash, right? So the Age of Ancients had no beginning, and the Age of Dark, when we actually get there, will have no end, right? So that's like the original dynamic that we had before we got the whole Dark Souls 3 Ash Gray thing to its, you know, full thematic conclusion. So if the Age of Dark then is much like the Age of Ancients, where there is no time, and in this case it'll be an era that will have no end, and there is no longer any sort of linear time and stuff like that to delineate things, I don't know how you could justify stuff not being put back to normal. It's kind of like how what we see with the Dark and the Dark Souls 3 trying to show how the Dark shows the full potential where mankind can become so much more than what they are with like the angels, or what we see with like the angel knights to Gertrude and stuff like that. Like the idea is like the Dark and its, you know, its dominion over space will allow man to evolve and to transcend whatever they are currently and to be, you know, theoretically whatever. And the same would be true to the world on a broader scale. Now the problem is that is so big picture and heady. I just don't see any realm of possibility where we will actually explore that to any meaningful degree, even if there were to be a sequel, because like it just throws all the rules out the window, and it becomes this thing where like I don't think you can possibly deliver on a world like that. Like it's just too potentially self-contradictory in terms of physics. It just becomes basically, you know, absolute gobbledygook nonsense, I think. Which is why I've always supported that the less we try to deal with the questions of like, oh, Age of Dark, what happens with time and space shenanigans, the better. I feel like, you know, Untended Graves, we touched on that. We started getting into that territory. It's like, okay, can we please like just leave it there? Like, we don't need to go any farther. I beg you. I'm begging. There we go. Facial animations go per. Oh my God. The facial animations in Demon Souls give me nightmares. Like, it's just so weird where they have this really like vaudeville overacting with how they like, you know, do everything. And then they go back to default face like instantly. Like, it's so unnatural. I can't stand it. Yeah, I should have gone shot like that. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. We can fix things. We can fix things. Some people believe that that's what they thought Miyazaki would have done if they had a better engine to work with, but it's clearly not the truth. From what we've seen, from what we've seen and what I can say, it looks like they had at least some pitched ideas that ultimately became what we see with the Dreadkeep and stuff like that. Now, if the idea was to go any farther, who knows? Unfortunately, we don't have a lot to go off of for the original concept. You know what? Let's just warp there so I don't have to worry about potential stupid. Let's stop worrying about the stupid. Demon King's Ruins, Old Wolf of Faron. Where the hell is it? There it is, Road of Sacrifices. Okay. So I don't know what Miyazaki's original idea would have been, you know? Again, as someone who loves to include content and factor it in to get you into like the heads of the developers as they're going through this process and what ideas they had, what they dropped, what they completely scrapped, what you can kind of still see as a concept surviving in the final game, right? Like, as someone who loves doing that, I have no idea what the ultimate, what would be the ending when we fought the old King of the Eclipse at Firelink Shrine versus what we got in the final game. I don't know. What would be the plan for like the Soul of Cinders model before we got it? Also, I never noticed that Soul of Cinder doesn't have the surcoat as a boss. Like, I've never noticed that. Like, his armor has it, but he doesn't. Like, when I was getting the updated shots for that, I was looking at that. I was like, oh my god. Like, they let you wear the surcoat, but he has no surcoat. It was a little bizarre, I won't lie. You know what? I think actually the shot I got is actually the best one. I really hate saying that, but I think the shot I got is the best. We'll take it just in case. There we go. Look, my cat wants to go outside, but doesn't know that there's a nor'easter on its way. Nor'easter on its way. Can you tell him he's being a dumbass? Cat, you being a dumbass. So says the Loki. There. I think it was pretty subtle. I think it was pretty low-key, if you catch my drift. I'll be honest, I hate this. I hate all of this. I hate it when it's like, damn, this shot that I feel like I could do better. Nah, no, that was the best I could probably get the shot. One thing I hate about the Ring City DLC is the chronology of our actions in it relevant to the game's ending, only if it takes place somewhere else. It always bothered me. Yeah. Part of it's the problem is that because it's just copy-paste Lothric assets, it's always going to be kind of weird. Because, like, no, that's Lothric. It's like, no, it's supposed to be a bunch of different countries. But it's like, but that's Lothric. Right? I love it, too, because, like, they included, like, the Undead Settlement stuff, which I guess is supposed to account for, like, the hag lady, the humped old woman, right? You know, Lorien's wet nurse, when she's like, oh, you know, there's, like, you know, towns of beggars, cities of kingdoms, and all that stuff. It's like, I guess that's what the Undead Settlement in, like, that very hard... Like, no one's ever going to notice that part of the background, you know, visuals at all. Like, that's a thing, I guess. Oh, God, almost did it again. I swear, I am the unintentional murderer of NPCs here. Like, I just get possessed, chat. The devil made me do it. I blame Shabriri. Use loud and correct buzzer and audience boos. Hey, what are you talking about? I gave you exactly what you wanted. And they simply included the kiln for no reason at all. Like, here's the thing. I like with the Dreadkeep that the kiln is there, but again, I find it funny how there is copy-pasting for it. Now, again, I don't think you can even see necessarily the copy-pasting elsewhere, but I just kind of find it funny. Like, they're like, see, get it? Because, like, the kiln there is, like, it's not even, like, they accurately have it where it's, like, in other places, like the Lothric Bridge or whatever, where you're like, okay, yeah, I could see how everything is kind of consistent relative to everything else, right? They just have the kiln there in the background, just among all the other stuff. I don't even think Firelink Shrine is in the right position relative to it. I think that one, you can actually see the copy pasting more. Like, it's just a mess. But like I said, I'm not someone who wants to speculate on the timeline and stuff like that. Because like the short answer would probably be the events all take place after, you know, I don't think it's a situation where it's like you are doing the ending to the game at the same time that you're like fighting Gale or anything. I don't think anything is like to that extent time fucky-wucky, right? And even if it was, I don't think From Software would ever want to address it or anything, because even if that's the only way they could make things make sense, you know, the less you draw attention to it, the better. Ultimately, I think it's just a matter of players can decide for themselves, but obviously the ending is supposed to be the ending. So all events have to be resolved by the time that the credits roll. Yeah, nothing else we're really getting out of this with you guys. Nothing new we need to get with you. God, that shine is make things even more obnoxious. Just get the blood there, because I don't remember if I mentioned it in my Faron stuff. Oh, this looks better. Yeah, I like this better. Just get this item. Again, make sure I'm not recognized as an enemy here. Hey, Patch's shield. There we go. Oh, so you can't see the others? Okay, I was wondering if that was true or not. Yeah, I ultimately decided against mentioning that background detail in my analyses because it's like, you know, there could be a possibility it's somewhere back there. I don't see it, so I'm just not going to bother. It's not really that important to mention either. Like, it's very clear, just look at the area is what it's supposed to be, so. Two more at Earth and Peak View before Demon Princes. Man. I will say, I get what they wanted to do with the Dreadkeep. I understand they want to streamline it. I still think it would have been cooler if they just imported as many assets from previous games as they could and allowed like a lot more like crazy wild exploration. I get it. They wanted to give you a very like linear experience, right? Also, here's another problem that they have is that Miyazaki had obviously different ideas when development started and when the cinematic was being made with the Ashen Desert and stuff, and having that be something you'd have involved with the ending and things like that, but that didn't pan out. And then the Dreadkeep, as we see it in the actual ending to the DS3, became like the compromise. But then, obviously, with the DLC, he got to go back and he got to, okay, I'm going to actually have that shot. I'm going to have the area from the cinematic actually appear. But it creates this awkwardness with it because, like, the Dreadkeep is, like, still, like, filtering stuff. And you have, like, completed Lothric, but you show Lothric all in pieces and stuff like that, right? So it's just one of those things where it's, like, it's a concept, it's a visual, and you kind of have to translate that. He wants to translate that over to get the idea, the concept across. But it's one of those things where it's like, you know, the less you try to think hard about it, the better, you know? Already got a shot of the Ring of Sacrifice guy up there. Yeah, we're good here. Oh, a shocker. Yeah, there's the Ring of Sacrifice. We already have a shot of that. I did try to think if I could come up with Velka and Londor are trying to spy on something really important. Like, the only thing I could really think of is a Rosaria connection. Because all the areas seem to be connected to the gods that, obviously, Londor, in an ideal scenario, would love to have all eliminated. Or at least put under control. But I don't see anything at the cathedral itself that might, you know, build upon this implication, right? This, I should say, possible implication. So I'd rather just feel it's better to assume it's probably foreshadowing for the exiles you see in Faron Keep proper, like this one guy who's lagging behind, right? This is the blue bug pellets. Yeah. Yeah, there's our boy. Well, I liked a bit more with these bookshelves and stuff too. Like, you only have 3 of them, really? Like, you couldn't do more here? Or here, even? I don't know, it just feels like wasted potential. Like, even here would have been cool. I don't know. I feel like the Road of Sacrifices area is probably one of the areas that could have done... they could have done with a little bit more. Like, we just have a few crosses and stuff and a bunch of rubble. This feels a bit underwhelming, you know? I only see as a small part of Lothric being drifted to the Dreadkeep and the rest ending up being drifted in the Ashen Desert age. Well, again, the problem is that the idea is supposed to be the Dreadkeep is all that, and everything is heading downward and is, you know, drifting, sinking down to where the desert would end up being, right? Because that's, you know, the Ring City is there. It's part of that downward trajectory, right? But it's sort of like an island in an oasis, you know. So sorry, that's not the word. That's not the metaphor. But, you know, it's like an island in like a sea of ash, essentially, there, right? And then we get to see it become part of that when we, you know, break, you know, Filianor's spell. So it's just one of those things where, like, it's clear, like, again, it's clear what the idea they're trying to go for is like everything is just like coming you know, everything's kind of like being, you know, jumbled together here, and it's all kind of flowing, quote unquote, to this ultimate endpoint, which is this giant stagnant ashen desert, right? But again, they have to be like, okay, well, Anor Londo's now in one piece and stuff like that, and now you have this in one piece, right? Obviously, we see like pieces of like Faron and things like. Again, I think it's more so because it was something they had in the cinematic trailer, so they had to recreate it if they want to have anything, you know, resembling to draw a direct connection between them. Also, another little seam in the world. Look at that. Let no one say I cannot make fun of Dark Souls 3. It most certainly has its problems. It has more of like Bloodborne tier problems, though. That's for sure. Evil Loki be like, I'm going to document nothing and write shitty, ill-conceived fanfiction disguised as lore. I'm sure somebody thinks that's what I actually do. More power to them, you know? There we go. Nothing worth mentioning with that. I don't have, there we go, Iron Flesh. Man, it really sucks to be a pyromancer, huh? I'm just saying, dude, you didn't have to use the Iron Flesh here. Maybe you should have thought about that before you were wading through this deep-ass swamp. I'm pretty sure the Pale Shade, like, invades, like, behind this tree or something. Also, 1 second, chat. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it's fine. I see some people think that again, yeah, they're entitled to their opinion. I mean, I don't care. No skin off my bones. Those people would be objectively wrong. That's fine. You know, ultimately, all I hope to accomplish is to get people to recognize and acknowledge the localization issues and how they have affect how do I put the word this? How they affect understanding of the lore in substantive ways. If that's like the only thing I get across, I've accomplished my mission. Everything else is just extra. Obviously, I'm gonna always have my opinion. I'm always going to share it. Obviously, I'm going to advocate it for it because, like, why wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you advocate for something you believe in? Like, that sounds weird to me. But in the end, all that matters to me is that people understand that the localizers really aren't helping anybody here with some of their translation decisions, or not even really decisions so much as mistakes. Do we know anything about the origin of the Gruus, or at least how they got to Faron Keep? They are the descendants of the actual acolytes from that we were at the academy just earlier in the Road of Sacrifices. So they are part of Faron people. They were doing their job hunting in the forest, and they basically turned into feral tribesmen who transformed and gave birth to more monstrous things. Again, it's a little weird with the Gruus, I will say. It's one of those things where it's like they probably had a different idea for them originally back in, like, you know, some earlier version of the game, and they kind of got repurposed for what they are now. Most likely. Maybe it wasn't that wildly different. Maybe I'm not giving Miyazaki enough credit here, but it definitely kind of feels like they kind of got retrofitted to fit in with this game more. Because it's, you know, it's supposed to kind of be like the lizard men in Dark Souls 2, or the goblin, you know, the cannibalistic goblin guys there, where it's like these are supposed to be like undead humans who kind of like the Corvians in Dark Souls 1s and 3, I guess 2 technically because you got the 1 there. But, you know, they transform due to emotions, feelings, environment, you know, all these things factored together are, you know, turning them into something that is more than, in this case, the more than undead. I think the reason also they go with the descendant option is to justify why the Gruus aren't, you know, classified as like hollows or anything in their game. You know, I think it's probably to help there with that. It's like, oh no, you see, this is the next generation. You know, these guys are like, I don't know, like 13 or something. They're just like teenagers. All the old ones, they all turned into lycanthropes or something. Your bones have skin on them? Yes, I am in fact not a skeleton, I'm sorry to say. Nice. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied saying that I probably have the most comprehensive, consistent, and comprehensible account of this trilogy out there. Like, I'm satisfied with just knowing, like, you know, I've done my duty. I've explored these games as thoroughly as I possibly can. I've made each game's best case for them and their stories and stuff. I've gone into exhaustive detail on them. I'm very much satisfied. Also, where's my background music? There we go. I don't know why, but that part of the vid was just a little quiet. I was like, well, we do got Elder Gruus, so maybe I shouldn't say that that's probably the only justification. Maybe they just didn't want to. Maybe they just wanted to make sure there was some delineation between Elder Gruus and stuff, because, again, Elder Grue design and Grue design is A little different. Just a little. Just a slight bit. A tad. Uh-huh. I never actually looked at how this building looks, and it's like, oh, wow. Like, huh. Yeah, looks good. No bonfire definitely helps. Okay. Don't know if I'll be including that in Far On anytime soon, but it's, you know, it's an option. It's there. We already have shots of the Corvians here. That's been covered for Londor. I think I'm currently using it in Ariandel, so I can move that out of Ariandel and throw it in Londor when that's posted. I, for the longest time, could not figure out why they specifically had they were justifying Corvians here specifically, because like it can't be Grus, because it has the same drops and stuff. So these are supposed to be like undead turned Corvians. And it couldn't be Dark Race or anything. That definitely made no sense. Like, I don't think Dark Race are suddenly like giving up on everything they've kind of been holding on to up till now just to have a chance in the painting. Then I saw this. I thought about this guy again. The fact that this is the only guy that really has this pose. Thought about the Londor stuff earlier. I was like, I get it. It's like, now I get why they did that. Now I get what the story is. Although I say that, I don't have a good shot of the front here. God, that is such an awkward pose. I don't know which one's better. They both look awful, in my opinion. I guess we'll do this. All right. There we go. Yeah, I already had all the shots of this guy. We're good here. Yeah, I already got all that. Nothing Londor related really here. Like I said, I got the shot of the Ooh. He's really not vibing with the close-up inspections. He is not. Yeah, this is the annoying thing. Is like sometimes the I think I now know exactly what the problem is, because Illusory Wall was showcasing in his recent Dark Souls 3 video. By the way, go watch it. It's really good. I think what happens is that the soft collision for deciding how the kinematics work, I think the camera is actually what decides where the kinematics load. So when you're farther away, oftentimes the kinematics aren't loading properly, but then when you get closer, it does load it in that area, so then it readjusts. I think that's actually what's happening. So it makes it really weird when I'm trying to get a shot that doesn't look completely awkward. There we go. Mm-hmm. I actually don't remember if we have the Hollow of Londor shot, so I'll take shots of it again if that's the case. Like, it's not like a big deal. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Trying to get just right. I think I got it. All right, so there we go. How's Exile treating you? Looking like it's going pretty swell. There we are. All right. Let us make our character invisible here. There we are. Loki, do you know the meaning of the true love, or are you still searching? I don't know. I'm still reading romance manga. Does that count? Does that count? Speaking of, I read the latest volume of Tiger Doesn't Want to Eat the Dragon. Oh my god, this series is so fucking cool. I love it. I love it so much. I love vicious animals that will tear you apart for absolutely petty reasons by our standards. Because that's just the way of the jungle. There we go. Ah, stupid fog came in on that corner there. There we go. Oh yeah, again, this is another reason why Age of Dark gets weird, because then there's a lot of questions of like with stuff like with what we see with Gundyr and Untainted Graves alone, like what would the implications hold then for like Gwyn and stuff like that, and things you could do, and like the time paradoxes you could potentially create. Like surely somebody in the Age of Dark would want to try to bring out Gwyn, but then that would go against what we already have, and Dark Souls already decides it's operating on a kind of everything in time is kind of like self-consistent. So if you went to the past, it's because you already were you were always going to go to the past and things like that, and it kind of then gets it. Again, this is the problem with like time travel in general. I'm not very much a big fan of time travel and stuff like that. So when you do these elements, the lighter you have it, the lighter the touch it makes on the narrative, the better. And FromSoft generally has handled it pretty well when it comes to Dark Souls. But like I said, you were really stretching the limits when you got to Untainted Graves. It's just like, I never want to see a game taking place in the Age of Dark, because God, it's going to be It's gonna be something, all right. Was it always this? I'm gonna move myself over here just to make sure it's all loaded, but like, okay, yeah, no. I was like, I don't remember it being that bare. Ba-ba-doo, ba-ba-doo. Come on, fog, disappear. Go away, fog. Get out the way. There we go. There we go. Everything's great though. That's do I care? Do I really care? Like, do I really care that much? Do I care? Like, do I care? Like, who the hell is? Oh, it's the dark race in the background. They're the reason that the Grues are doing poison fog, of course. Guys, look, it's now slightly less gray. I really hate how subtle the green is. I really do. I think the problem is like the fog is very grayish still, so it doesn't really change in effect that much as you'd think, you know? All right. So that covers all that we could do. We got shots of Yuria. I guess we get shots of her in combat, but I really don't want to deal with all that right now. Do we have what's her face? Henri at the Church of Yorshka. Like, is that a thing now? Guess we'll find out. I don't know why you decided we were going to tab out there, but okay, sure, whatever you want, game. Ba-ba-doo. No, we don't have Corner Lady, and I don't see Henri. Oh, I think I know what we got to do. One moment. Please. We got to go over here. Where is it? There you go. Wolnir! It is I, Wolnir! Oh my God. Now I can't imagine. Okay, if I ever do a video, if I ever do a lore video on Wolnir, I'm now going to make parody stuff with like freaking Grimnir from, probably most people recognize him from Granblue now, but from Cygames' stuff. Like, God, now I'm never gonna be able to get that out of my head. I'm pretty sure you're here, right? No. Oh, you know what? I think it's I know why. This character doesn't have. It's the other one. It's the one where I haven't killed Irina. Oh, I can't believe I killed it on Irina's husband, man. I can't believe I killed Irina. Like, what a sick joke. Not the kind I was expecting either. Ugh. I will say, I think the coolest thing they could probably do in terms of modding, is maybe do like turn Dark Souls 3 into Elden Ring and make it all open world. Like have the exact have the maps as they exist be as consistent as they could be, except for Karthus. Change up Karthus so it's more cooler and expansive and just, you know, overall just feels like an actual desert kingdom. You know, that was you know, converted into a catacomb. By the way, my point is that I think it would be really cool if they kind of just like took all the places outside of the areas you could already exist and just add like new ways to get there and then explore You'd have to come up with some way to travel, because I'm sure like it'd be really annoying to travel all this stuff up on foot. Maybe you could have like an NPC who's like, if you pay a fee, I will give you access to this thing for this area. And you will be able to use a spirit steed. And it's just like a torrent reskin. But like that, it would be so cool, I feel like. Just the coolest, you know?
Hello. We meet again. Have you seen Horace anywhere?
Nope.
Goodness me. To think there'd be a lake so deep within these catacombs. What a relief. I knew that Horace was alive and wouldn't stray far.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. We are both in your debt. This hardly expresses my gratitude, but it'll have to do for now. Please take it, and may the flames guide your way.
Oh, I have to mention she also has the Ring of the Evil Eye. I forgot about that, chat.
I will soon head to the lake. Thank you. We are both in your debt. May the flames guide your way. I will soon thank you. May the...
Uh-huh. Uh-oh.
I will soon head. Thank me.
Henri, I don't know how to tell you this, but this is, just a little awkward for me. All right, now maybe she'll be at Church of Yorshka. Where the hell is my church? There it is. Okay. May his light never perish from his earth. Oh. About that. I just love how our Unkindled is just like, oh yeah, he's down there. Because I think, do you get that option even if you, like, do you get that option even if you don't kill him? Because, like, if you have to kill him, it's kind of a dick move, you know? I mean, I made it in. Yeah, I don't know what the trigger would have to be. Like, do I have to kill Wolnir or whatever? Like, I'm a little lost on what I got to do. Yeah, I hear you. Yes, you do, and Henri will die to Horace. Oh. That's a cool little detail. So yeah, it's a pretty dick move. It's like, oh yeah, you don't even mention, oh, he was trying to kill me. You just kind of sent Henri off to potentially die. Like, it's the wild, mad Horace. Or even if you kill him, you basically send her there to find his corpse. And then don't mention how you're the one, like, I'll be honest, it's kind of a dick move. I really don't know how you could like justify the character if you're trying to play like a good Unkindled as your role play or whatever, you know? So previously, I made speculation on these being potentially witch trees because of how we find them beneath there with the corpse. Kind of like how we find the Saint Belvine thing next to a broken stump. Except the broken stump situation, there was no corpse connected, so I always found it a little odd. I never considered, I did not realize that the Witch Tree branch is actually used by the Pale Shades. But now that I know that, I'm like, oh, okay, that changes the entire calculus, right? Hey, it's one of those things, I think this was like a really long time ago when I added that too. Like not, it wasn't like in the original draft, but definitely something I added like a few years back. It's just one of those things where it's like, oh no, yeah, I got this wrong. I was missing important information for context because I was not looking at that. I did not even think to look there. How am I feeling, by the way? I mean, as good as you can be, Nick. I appreciate the well wishes. You know? Yeah, nothing up there. It's just gonna be real, you know, it's gonna be really hard to adjust without my Velcro, you know? That's just how it's gonna be. You know, especially when things are so sudden. It's always gonna be one of those things where it's like, damn. It's like I really have to, like, you know, just get used to not having my normal routine. Everything's different, you know? That's just how it is. But, you know, like everything, you learn to deal, and you try to move on as best you can. God willing, he added so much to my life, so I can't complain. Yeah, we're already fine with the shots we have. I don't need that. There's our alleyway. All right, so will Horus appear now? Just to be extra safe, I'm not going to try to skip it. I tried going through the front entrance because I thought maybe that might be the trigger. I really don't know what is going to make Henri appear, so... We rested at the bonfire, but I didn't reset entirely, so... Oh yeah, only one has it for the first row. And these guys got two that have it. Ah, there she is. There we go. Oh, whoops. I think I have to talk to Yuria. I think I forgot to talk to Yuria. I don't think I've done anything for Lord of Hollows lately. Uh-oh. Hope I didn't screw things up now for the Henri quest. Henri, whatever you do, don't move. I haven't talked to you. Yeah, I killed Horus already. Like, he's not down there. You would see him from Smoldering Lake if he was. Yuria! Yuria!
Speak thy desire, honorable Lord of Hoth, our Lord and Liege. Knowest thou of a maid named Henri? She is Hoth. A fellow of mine guides her at this moment. For what lord taketh no spath?
There we go. Hopefully that's the trigger.
Our Lord knows she is a thankful.
Alright, we're good. Okay.
Till we meet again. May the dark sigil guide thee.
Yeah. Whatever you say. Alright, let's see. Church of York. There. Oh, whoopsie. I didn't mean to do that. Not Distant Manor. Church of Yorshka. There we go. I'm following the quest. It's just, it's... Oh, my mic wasn't working. My bad, chat. I need to be looking at the filter, the audio mixer settings on my OBS more, just to double check for you guys. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, I see exactly why that was happening, because of how I'm repositioning myself. Anyway, I have no idea. I have zero idea. Where is she? I have no idea where she is. Did I accidentally kill her earlier? I didn't know you could meet her before Henri shows up. I don't think she's at the Dark Moon Tomb either. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look up and figure out what the hell I mean, worst case scenario, we create a fresh save, and we just force ourselves through the entire quest line. Like, that shouldn't be that hard. Just get myself to max level. Or free level ups or whatever. Shouldn't be that difficult. If so, though, I think we might want to end things here then. Yeah, nothing there. I already have all the shots. I already have all the shots for this. Look, it's too late. You messed up the quest line. You should have done Londor stuff before making Henri go to church. Ah. But how was I supposed to know that? Like, she's literally saying, oh, one of my own is guiding her there. Well, where is she? Where is she, Yuria? There we go. Yeah, I have no idea. We're probably gonna have to do it with a fresh save then, if that's the case. If that's true, though, then yeah. There's no point, I think, in continuing this one. Also, poor guy, he's got to deal with this whenever he wants to get out his front door. I'll say these streets are a little doorless, you know? Definitely use a little bit more entrances and exits, if you ask me. Looky there, quest guides from 10 years ago. Why would I consult quest guides? Can't be that hard. Clearly it is. Clearly it is. All right. So with all that covered, I think we can officially say we're done. We'll have to do more Londor some other time. Also gonna have to think about what else I might want to include besides stuff that's strictly related to Londor. Because there's stuff like I talk about the bite rings, I talk about the clutch rings. So I have to edit some of those things together probably at some point. Or do I? Have I included them actually somewhere else? I don't remember if I included bite rings anywhere. Ah, my memory, my goldfish memory. Damn, I'm gonna have to go. Oh. All right, that's for future Loki to worry about. All right, have a happy Columbus Day, everybody. Tomorrow. See y'all later. Be safe. Bye bye.